One of my favorite shows on television right now is one called Expedition Unknown. It's hosted by Josh Gates. He used to have a show called Destination Truth that aired on the Travel Channel and still does in reruns. But I like Expedition Unknown better than Destination Truth because he is not chasing myths, folklores, and monsters in this program. He's actually looking for ancient relics and hidden treasures from civilizations of the past that we already know about, but we want more evidence of. He has a degree in archaeology, and this is what he does. He travels the world looking for hidden treasure. Now, I find that fascinating. He's actually pretty successful at doing so. Not as successful as Indiana Jones, obviously, and not like not like these guys who have actually unearthed King Tut. He's not quite that big, but he does find hidden treasure. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because that's the kind of life that you and I would like to live. Globetrotting, unearthing things, getting credit for doing something spectacular, and seeing it enter a museum for time immemorial. And so it would be great to be able to do that. The closest thing that we ever get to unearthing hidden treasure, for the most part, is hitting the lottery, right? And who does that? We're not going to get a degree in archaeology. We're going to keep working the same jobs we have, living the same lives. But I want to suggest to you that you can unearth hidden treasure, and here's how you do it. You don't find it in yourself. You find it in other people. And the reason why I mentioned that is that this is what a lot of people will tell you. Find the treasure within yourself. No, find it in other people. You need to look outside of yourself. Too many people look inside themselves for something beautiful. Don't do that. Don't do that. Look for it in other people. And there's a lot of bad in other people, so you really have to dig. But you can find it. You can find treasure. And you know how you do it? You do it by talking to them. And you might say, well, Greg, I'm an introvert. I'm not very talkative. I'm not very outgoing. Well, maybe that needs a change. You don't have to be an extrovert to initiate a conversation with somebody. People aren't just going to come out and tell you who they are all the time. Sometimes you have to unearth it. Sometimes you have to pull it out of them. And it's worth it. Not everybody has something to say, but you know what I found out? Most people have a story to tell you. Most people have something that you will find valuable. I don't care who it is, where they're from, what they look like, or how old or how young they are. They have something that you probably want to know about. They could help you in your life. And it's just good to know these things. I've met some wonderful people and heard some wonderful, amazing stories, and just been able to be exposed to a wide variety of experiences that I can't live myself because I can't live that many lifetimes. But I can through other people. And it also helps you to understand people better. And the way you do it is you just talk to them. You initiate conversations. There are some people who just will never do that. And they're boring people. The people that I'm talking about are the ones who will enter into a room and they'll sit next to other individuals in seats or mingle in a party, or not even really mingle in a party, but they'll only communicate with people they already know. But they don't reach out. They'll say things, I'm just too shy. I'm an introvert. But like I said, maybe that needs to change. You don't have to change your personality. You just have to take baby steps. You just have to be willing to ask questions. Just a little bit at a time. Be willing to step outside of your comfort zone, because that's what it takes. I wish I could take the time to tell you about a lot of the stories I've been able to acquire by doing this. I've met men who were World War II survivors from concentration camps and had to see bodies dumped into big ditches. And I've met a 100-year-old man who was just a child when World War I ended, and he remembers it and tells you about these things. It's amazing the experiences that people have had that I'm never going to, but I get to live it with them in that moment as they explain these things in detail. And you just ask simple questions like, if you're sitting next to someone at an event, you can ask him, have you ever been here before? What's it like? What can you tell me about this place? Where are you from? Are you originally from here? What do you do for work? Now, to some people listening to this are going to go, those are just common questions. That's just everyday. You're right. These are everyday questions. But maybe you don't ask them enough. Maybe you don't reach out enough. Some people just stay to themselves. But you know what that makes you? Boring. And bored. Not just boring, but bored. And so I want to suggest that you should do that. The other night, for example, my son and I went to a UFC event in Orlando. And we did it for his 17th birthday. And we had a blast. It's one of the highlights of my life, I'll have to admit. And another man about my age came and sat down in a seat beside us. And he had a young man with him about my son's age. And so at one point, I didn't start talking to him right away because we were watching the fights. And at some lull in there somewhere, I turned to him and I said, so is this the first time you've ever been to an event like this? And he says, man, let me tell you something. I used to fight in these things. Well, I said, really? You know who he turned out to be? You may not recognize the name now, but at one time, you would have. His name is Roddy Ferguson. His name is spelled R-H-A-D-I. And I'll put a description and link below, but you can find him on YouTube. But he's had a great career. He still does. He does motivational speaking now. He teaches judo. He's a 4-time Olympic champion in judo. He last time he competed in the Olympics was in 2004. And he's a great judo and jiu-jitsu teacher. He's trained a great number of fighters. The night that we were at the UFC, Ovince St. Preux fought, was choked out by Latifi. And we were all surprised, and he was too, because he actually fought on the same card with Ovince St. Preux in Vegas at one time. I don't know when it was, but he's trained people like Brandon Vera, Thiago Alves, Bobby Lashley, Rashad Evans. And so we got to talk with him, and it was just a great time. And I got a picture of him with my son, and he was a super nice guy. But that's an example of finding hidden treasure. And you know why it was hidden? Because he was never going to tell me that's who he was. He was never going to bring it up. I had to ask. And that's what you have to do a lot of times. So think about coming out of your shell a little bit and just ask simple questions. That's all it takes. And be willing to not talk about yourself. That's a real big component to all of this. Usually, what I see when people are talking, when I'm observing other people talking, or even when I'm talking to somebody else myself, I notice that people just love to talk about themselves. I let people talk about themselves. I want to hear them talk about themselves. But resist the urge to talk about yourself unless you are prompted to do so. And then be willing to. Don't be hesitant. Don't go overboard. But leave enough space for them to interject so you can find out more about them, because you would be amazed at who is out there and what they have to tell you and what you can learn. All right, guys, if you have any great stories to relate, that relate to this or that you want to talk about, put them in the comments below. I'd love to hear them, because I could give you a description of a lot more. It would just take too much time, but I want to hear about yours. So give me some comments below, and I will catch you in the next one. I've enjoyed it. I'll catch you guys later. Bye-bye.